Here I am in a Caterham and I've done this video to discuss upshifts or gear changes up the box, how important they are and how you can measure your own to make sure you're not losing time. So in simple terms, obviously the gear changes need to be as fast as possible without damaging the gearbox, and it can have quite a big effect on lap time in a standard manual car. I've coached some really good drivers in Academy, Road Sport, 270R etc. and seen them losing quite regularly a tenth of a second to gear change. If you take a big circuit like Snetterton and Caterham Academy, 5 gear changes, that's going to be up to half a second a lap, which is a lot of time to give away for something that doesn't really require that much skill. With Caterham Academy you can't really flat shift as that will damage the gearbox, so you're looking to do a normal manual gear change but quickly, and you're looking to change just before the rev limiter. You don't want to hit the rev limiter because that obviously kills power to the engine, but you want to change just before you get to the limiter so you're as high up in the revs as you can be for the gear you're going up to. With a straight gear change, so third to fourth, that should take you around about 3/10 of a second, 3 to 4/10 maximum. And when you're going across the gate, that's going to take you slightly longer, so second to third or fourth to fifth, that's going to be around about 4/10, 4 to 5/10 maximum. I'm now going to play the video at full speed so you see exactly how quickly my feet have to move to do the gear shifts in the time frames I've mentioned. I'll then go back and I'll play the video frame by frame explaining how you can measure your own gear shifts so you can see exactly how quickly you're doing them. If you keep a close eye on my feet, over here in the bottom left corner, and then the blue bar, which is my throttle pedal, that's going to give you a good idea of exactly how quickly I'm doing the gear shift. Before I explain how you measure how long your own gear changes are taking, one thing to keep in mind is I have found when I've driven brand new Caterham Academy cars that the gear change is a little bit stiff. They naturally free up a little bit over time, but also I've found quite often the clutch stop isn't quite adjusted correctly. So if you are finding the gear change a little bit hard to do, just try winding the clutch stop slightly further away from yourself and you might find that makes quite a big difference. To measure your gear changes using your V-Box, first of all put the second camera on your feet like I have on this footage here. That's a really good idea to have that second camera on your feet anyway for general coaching or training purposes, and it's a lot more useful than just sort of looking behind you. You can then load up your video V-Box footage in the Circuit Tools software and get the video to a point that it's just before a gear change. If you then use the right arrow key and hold down the Alt key at the same time, you can move the video footage 1/10 of a second forward at a time. So here we can see that I've stopped it just before a gear change. I'll right click with Alt 1 once, that's 1/10 of a second, I've started doing my gear change. I'll forward another 1/10 of a second, 2/10, 3/10, you can see I've completed the gear change. The throttle is now fully on and my feet are fully off the clutch and fully on the throttle. To recap, it's really important to do these gear changes as quick as possible without hitting the rev limiter, so it's something to keep a close eye on during testing using your V-Box footage, as it's easy time you don't want to be giving away when it doesn't require a lot of skill.